PK52, the Saturday morning meeting. Hey, let's break out for a second and talk about what's going on in the next couple of months. In the next couple of months, you and I both know that this is when it happens. You start June, July, August, and then all the way through Labor Day. Those are your thrust months. Those are the months that you need to be on top of your game. Traffic's going to increase. That's when people buy cars. Kids are out of school. So let's talk about closing techniques. When I first got in the car business in the 80s, there was a bunch of, what I call shenanigans. It was kind of like a carnival, a little circus act. Things that you said, trying to trick a customer into buying a car. And to be honest with you, I think that's not necessary. Customers are at your dealership because they want to buy a new car, used car, certified car. They're ready to do business. The salesperson that is the most prepared is the person that's going to get the lion's share of the business during these thrust months. I'll tell you a story. This is a story a long time ago. I met a guy when I was at Texas Tech University. I had to have a part-time job because I was no longer playing sports and I was having to pay for school myself. So I was repossessing cars for Craig Motor Company number 1. Craig Motor Company number 1 was just down from the university, right across the street from Empire Pawn Shop. This was a buy here, pay here lot. You paid weekly or bi-weekly on your car. So what you do is come get your paycheck, bring it to the Empire Pawn Shop across the street, cash your paycheck. They would keep the portion of your car payment, and you get to drive your car for another week. So that's a thing, and hopefully none of you guys are on driving a buy here, pay here car, but there are a lot of people out there that need to pay for their car weekly. So if they didn't pay weekly, that's how I made my money. I'd go into their driveway or where they worked or catch it at the shopping center and bring it back to Craig Motor Company number 1, and then they had 10 working days to be able to get their car paid up. They could take their car back. So, and anyway, really didn't realize I was going to be in the car business as I was repossessing cars while I was going to school, but it's funny how things work out. I met a guy during that period of time that was a salesperson for a buy here, pay here lot. And I'm going to tell you the story, and I'm going to try not to make it too long. I'll tell you the exact car. It was a Pontiac Safari wagon. Never forget it. Had the inlays on the side, the woody. So it had a little decal that looked like it was had wood grain sides. Customer comes in, salesperson walks up. He says, "How much you getting for the wagon?" He said, $400 a month. Customer looks and said, $400 a month. So the salesperson wasn't a very pleasant guy. I'll just leave it at that. And he said, "Look, if you don't want the car, leave." And the guy goes, "Well, I need a car." He said, "I'll tell you what I'll do. If you can't do $400 a month, how about $100 a week?" The guy goes, "I could probably do that." About a half an hour later, the guy was across the street at Empire Pawn Shop signing the paperwork for his addition to the family, a Pontiac Safari wagon. So it took me a few days to approach the salesperson. I came in one day to pick up my truck to go out there and see if I could find a couple of non-payers so I could make enough money to buy food. And I said, "Let me ask you a question. What happened with that Pontiac Safari wagon?" And he goes, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, you told the guy $400 a month, and he said he couldn't pay $400 a month. Then you said $100 a week, and this month has 5 weeks in it. You raised the payment $100, and the guy said, okay." He said, "You're in college, right?" And I said, "Yes." He goes, "That's why you're so stupid. You analyze stuff too much. You don't know humans." He goes, "Let me tell you, and I'll tell you real quick so I don't have time to mess with you." He said, "The reality that guy lives in, there is no 400. He never has 400 in his hand. There's no 400. He gets paid weekly. So he can't deal with the number 400. So what I gave him was a number he could deal with. He was thinking in his mind, I make X amount of money every week. They take 100 out of my check. I get a car. Transaction's over. So it wasn't that the payment went up. It was that it was a price that the customer could see doing business with, even though in this case, some months it would have been higher. Now, I never knew ever at that point that I was going to be in the car business. But now, when I present a number to a customer, if the customer walks in the dealership and tells you straight up they have a budget of $400 a month, if they said, "That's where my budget is, $400 a month," if you bring back the first pencil at $442.83, that's a definite no. In their mind, they said 400 or less. They've been thinking about it. They've been talking about it at home. They came in wanting to be under 400 a month, and you set a number higher than 400 a month. Why would you say that? Let's pick a real easy payment. Let's say the payment was $450. Let's just square it up to $450. You said the payment is $450 a month. The customer says no, and they leave and never come back. So what this salesperson at this buy here, pay here lot would have told you to say is, I know you wanted to get a car for $400. I got you really close. And they go, how close? I got you within $50 of the car of your dreams. Let's do business. By breaking down the number to $50, the way I figure it now in the car business, they gave $400 at the door. They told you they had a budget of $400. They're in for $400. There's no reason to use the number $400 because they've already given you the number $400. So at this point in time, when I desk a deal with a customer and it's higher than their expectations, when I present the numbers to them, it is only the numbers that were above their expectations. If I can get them to see value in another $50, not $450. There's no value in $450 because their budget $400. But if I can get them to see value in $50 a month, then I have a chance to do business today, or at least negotiate back and forth between my customer and the management. So when you're closing a deal, you have to deal in realities. Let me give you one more. And these are things that can happen at any time. A customer comes in, they're driving a domestic vehicle, and they're $7,000 upside down, $5,000 upside down, $11,000 upside down. They're $3,000 upside down. So what's probably going to happen is they're going to want to buy this car with no money down. So they're going to buy the car, they're going to finance the sales tax or fees, and then they're going to finance the remainder of the car that they don't have anymore. That payment's going to get increasingly high, and it may get high enough that the customer's going to pass on the car deal. They'll go back to another domestic store. They'll get a, $7,500 cashback rebate and roll the negative equity into their next note. And you and I both know that's the kiss of death. Maybe they'll extend the note to 84 months and they'll never be able to trade again. So the way I would desk this deal with the customer is if they were $5,000 upside down, I would desk the deal with $5,000 down. And then I would show them the payment. I'd say, here's the payment right there. I said, is this payment comfortable? They said, yes, this is with $5,000 down. And the customer goes, well, I don't really have any money down. I said, let me tell you where we are on this car deal. Based upon your last purchase, you owe $5,000 more on the car than it's actually worth right now. That happens for a series of reasons. You can explain to them about rebates. You can explain to them that some manufacturers don't hold value like a Toyota. And then I always drop in the line, if you were driving a Toyota right now and you were trading a Toyota, would you be $5,000 upside down? And they go, no. And I said, so the difference in making the car deal today and not making the car deal is the negative equity that you brought in on your last car. Here's what I would recommend. If you would have leased that car 3 years ago, the $5,000 worth of negative equity you have right now would not be there. The penalty for leasing a car, and there's always a catch, is that your payment would have been lower. Let's say your payment would have been $100 lower. Not only would you not have the negative $5,000 in equity, you would also have the $100 a month times the 36 months that you drove the car, or an extra $3,600. If you'd have done business with me 3 years ago, you'd be $8,600 better off. Let's start again. Let's look at where you are. Let's make sure this never happens again. Fair enough? Those are two conversational closes that happen to be the truth. So I love helping customers buy cars. One of the greatest things in the world is selling something. I don't know if every one of you feel that way, but I feel that way. If I can sell something to somebody and make somebody happy, then it's awesome to me. Over the last couple of years, I've rebuilt and sold a bunch of motorcycles. Some of them I made money on, some of them I didn't. But when I put somebody on a motorcycle that's never been on one before, I feel like I've changed their lifestyle. So I enjoy it. If you get enjoyment out of this business, you'll be better every year. This has been PK52, a beginning of a closing series, the Saturday morning meeting.